Welcome, everyone. Permelia Parham is amazing. She has been guided to create the Healing Institute. Now, what is it, you ask? Let me tell you. It is a virtual global hub, and it connects clients to holistic practitioners. Go figure, right? The Healing Institute is a proactive wellness community and embraces each other and supports clients with amazing healing modalities. Oh, and also, she has some other businesses. Vibrational Healing. She's a certified body code, emotion code practitioner. And with this, she assists her clients to increase their health using this body code, emotion code protocol, realigning beliefs, and healing past lifetime energy. Permelia Parham, I am so glad you are on LifeMaven Podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Jody. I'm just delighted to be here. And I so appreciate you inviting me to be here today.
Well, I'm glad. And I got to find out, how are you living in the energy of your legacy now?
I wake up every morning. I almost jump out of bed every morning. I just love every day. I believe I am living my legacy right now. Because I am living in joy. I'm doing all the things I love to do. People ask me if I'm ever going to retire. I said, I have no idea what that means. Because it's, this, are you still working? And I'm like, well, it's not work for me because it's my passion. It's what I love to do. And then that's not work. That is it's my purpose. It's what I was meant to be here doing right now.
And that you couldn't have said it better. What is your opinion about, what would you like to see women over 60? What general thing would you like to see for women over 60?
I would love to see women just jump into their power. We're very powerful human beings, and we do so much. And I don't think women really understand how much they do. We raise families, we work, we look after homes, we look after families. Sometimes we are in that sandwich generation where we're looking after parents as well as children. And we're pretty amazing. And then when we get to be in our 60s, let's say you've had a job, that you went out to work for somebody else, and you get to retire from that job. Well, now you get to step into your own glory. You can do whatever you want. And that's where I really want to give women who are over 60 that permission. You can do that. You can, whatever were you ever dreaming of that you thought as a young child, or those dreams that you have, and you think, I'd really like to do that one day. Then you've got time now, you've got time to do it. So I would just really love to encourage women that are over 60 just to find that passion project, find that purpose that you really know in your heart that you're here meant to do.
For me, I had to have a pivotal moment. I don't know if that was true for you. Was that true for you? Because I
yes.
needed something to kind of give me that boost. Mine was when after my divorce, when I got divorced, and I thought, I was married for a long time, and I thought, well, if this isn't a boost, what is? Because I felt a bit lost at first and a bit scared because I had my roles that I was used to. And as the children grew, of course, my roles changed. And I think that pivotal moment was, you really can do what you want to do. And there's a freedom. And then I felt scared too. Really?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Coaches say if there's no fear, then it's not a big enough goal.
Yes.
So my pivotal moment was when I was introduced to a book called Living Your Life on Purpose. And it was a local author, the daughter of one of the women that was at the church that I went to. But I was a mother and I was a wife. My children were quite little. They were 10 and 12. So not babies, but not teenagers yet. And I had always thought my purpose was to be the best wife I could be and the best mother I could be. I didn't become a mother till I was into my mid 30s. So I was, that was my, what I really wanted. I really wanted to be a mother. So when I became a mother, I was all in 200%. I still had a job. I still went out to work. Fortunately, I was able to work more part-time so that I could be around for them. And it wasn't until I read that book that I realized, oh, I could have another purpose, or what is my real purpose? So being a mother and being a wife, the best I could possibly be, of course, those are great things to do and be. But it hadn't touched my heart as to what would I, or the question was, what would I like to do? What, other than doing those roles, what else is there? And so that was a big wake up moment for me when I read that book and went, oh, I can pick, I can choose. I was very fortunate about the same time that I met the woman that I studied with for 8 years, and she was an energy teacher, and she taught me the language. I'd always been very intuitive, but I didn't know the language. I'd always been very sensitive. That was something I always got into trouble for as a child. I now say what you got in trouble for as a child is usually your gifts. So I always got in trouble for being too sensitive and asking too many questions. Well, curiosity, I think, is like the number one thing you need to be. So I just think my parents didn't know how to answer my questions. And so, yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. Then I got to meet my teacher. And as I said, I studied under her. She was all about energy, teaching me about energy. The sensitivity that I'd had as a child and growing up, now I understood the language around the vibrations and the negative and positive vibrations and our aura and our chakras. And so all of those energetic ways that we now embrace. And so that was just amazing that happened all about the same time.
It really is. And especially because when I know that even when you were raising your kids, it was a different world, so to speak. I know that when I first got involved in some metaphysical things, energy, things like that, it really was not considered, it was considered a little bit odd, weird, not this acceptance, I think, that we have today. And I don't know about you, but I really didn't say much about it when I started doing some energy work, because I knew that made sense. But I did, in my heart, it made sense. And by the way, I was just like you. I always was asking questions. I was so curious about people, always, always, always. And it's interesting you say you don't know if your mother knew how to react to you. I just have to say that it just really struck me, because my mom told me, she said, I didn't know what to do with you. And you said, I don't meet too many people that have had that experience.
Yeah, same thing. And, this is kind of a funny story, but for many years, I thought I was adopted into the family because I was so different from everybody. And so, I don't know, grade 4 or something, we got talking about, at school, we were talking about birth certificates. I thought, this will be the proof. I'm going to go home and ask to see my birth certificate. So after school, I go home, and of course, I have my sister, who's 7.5 years younger than me. She's just a baby, and she was quite an ill baby. She had, my mother really had to devote a lot of time to her. And so when I come home with this question about, Mom, I'd like to see my birth certificate, she doesn't have time to go hunt for the birth certificate, wherever that might be. And she's like, well, I'm really busy right now with your sister, so I can't go look for it right now. I thought, I don't have one. That's why she can't go look for it. But, tales will tell, because apparently I look just like my mother. So there was no discussion about the fact that I actually was part of that family. But, I just didn't feel energetically, which I know what that was. It was energy that I wasn't feeling. And my dad was in the Canadian Navy, and he was away a lot. So there was just, my mom was a single mom back in the 50s, when that wasn't really, there wasn't a lot of support for women. I mean, she had her other Navy wife friends, obviously, they gave each other support, but society didn't really support people and women, especially, who didn't have a significant other. And I mean, it's not that, my dad was there, he was just away at sea. So, yeah, interesting how we change.
I know, but I love that because it's also how we perceive our situations. And, I've made assumptions too in my life. If my mom doesn't think my art is good, I mean, I thought, oh boy, I'm no good. And yet, it's just the same thing. You thought, okay, she doesn't want to take the time to find it. You're like, I don't have one. And I know that I've made that jump in my perceptions when I was growing up. And even years later, it pops up. And some of it is so untrue. And it's so interesting how somebody said you spend the second half of your life trying to eliminate and go through all the old messages you got in your first half of your life.
Well, and that's what I love about the process that I take people through. I call it realigning beliefs, because we are raised with all sorts of different beliefs, either through our family, through our religion, through society. And then you get to a point where you go, you know what? That belief doesn't really fit for me anymore. So energetically, you need to release that out of your aura. I call it your aura, or your electromagnetic field. And I have a very interesting, very simple, but very powerful process I take people through to actually create what that new belief is, but not just in words and not just write it on a piece of paper, but actually incorporate it into your energy, that new belief.
Yeah. And that really, nowadays, it's very interesting, because when I had first started with this, they talked about the energy field, and now there's scientific evidence to prove all this.
I know. I love that.
Amazing.
I love science. Any kind of science that I can read or find out about, and how that supports all of the work that we're doing now, and the whole idea of energy, and how that makes such a big difference, whether it's negative energy, positive energy, that makes such a big difference on our lives.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so vital to us. There's no question about it. And I got to know, I'm just curious, what motivating words or quotes help you in your life?
Well, I'm a follower of Marianne Williamson. And so I love some of the work that all the work that she does, actually. And I've been reading about her. I actually got to meet her 2 years ago. One of my business coach, she was here. Marianne Williamson was here in Canada doing a tour, and my business coach bought tickets for all her clients. And so I actually got to go and meet her, and I took one of her books with me because I wanted to get her to sign it. And she was standing if anybody hasn't seen how she works, she does a lecture standing at, on the podium or on the stage. It was in a small theater in a city here in Canada. And then she comes out into the audience and she takes questions. Yes.
Hi.
And so she just happened to be standing right beside me. The book's called From Tears to Triumph. And she mentioned it and I held it up. She said, honestly, I didn't plant her.
That is funny.
So I have to read you this, because this is, I think, is the core, and definitely for women over 60. So and I'm sure many people have heard this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? And I think as women, we can really embrace that quote, because when we get to be into our 60s and 70s, we have looked after the family. We haven't put ourselves first. We're not normally taught to do that. Our upbringings, and I've talked to women all over the world, and we've all seemed to have the same upbringing as as a woman, as a female, you are the one that people will go to. You are the one that needs to look after the family or look after the parents, or you're the one that's the nurturer. And we are nurturers usually. It's instinct to who we are as females. But I think once we get into our 60s and into that second half of our lives, we can then look at what is it that really brings us joy. And you might not know what that is. So you got to be curious, as we've been talking about that. Ask questions, take some courses, read some books. So that is one of my very favorite quotes. I'm also a Course in Miracles student, as is Marianne Williamson. And one of the things I ask every morning when I'm doing my yoga meditation is, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? So whoever's coming into my life that day, I want to know. I want some guidance from my higher power as to, and it's so remarkable. I find that the people that show up in my life, we just have these amazing connections. So I'm like, at the end of the day, when I'm rethinking my day, I have a gratitude journal that I do at the end of the day. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was meant to do today. Okay, good. We touched, I touched with someone that obviously I was meant to touch, whether it's over Zoom or whether it was in person, having a coffee, going for lunch. That was it. It's kind of helps me keep my guidance and my purpose and what I'm supposed to be, why I came here into this incarnation in this lifetime.
Yes, and I love that. I know that I do something kind of similar, and I also say, what would you have me be today? And just that gratitude, as you know, raising the energy levels and everything. And I love what you're saying about how the people come into your life. And I don't think there are any more accidents. I call it God instances, not coincidence, God instances.
Oh, I like that. I like that term.
Because it really is. I mean, it is to me sacred in many, many ways. What can you offer our audience? Sounds like a whole lot. So let us know.
Well, I certainly love to even just chat with somebody about if they're having any struggles that they're having, that they might be having. I would love to just have a conversation with you. If it means that you would like to have a body code session or a realigning relief session, then fine. But that's not my first focus. My first focus is just to serve. I do believe that I'm here to serve, and I love to serve, and I love to see people's eyes light up and see that joy that's coming into their hearts, that's coming now into their faces. So I just like to be available for whoever needs to have a chat, and whoever needs to, just talk. Sometimes, we don't get a chance as women just to talk ourselves out, right? I know I've been in situations where I need to talk it out, and someone else who I'm talking to is trying to fix it. And oftentimes we just need to talk it out because we can fix it ourselves, or whatever is happening. And we don't need someone else to fix it. So I sometimes just want to give someone a shoulder to lean on, cry on, whatever they might need.
To be seen and be heard, what a wonderful, wonderful gift you give to others. And thank you for helping light up LifeMaven Podcast today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jody. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
So great to have you. Yes.